Hello and welcome to Agri History. In this episode, we will cover the domestication of peppers, alongside the domestication of lettuce. Capsium annunum is a species used to breed our common chili peppers as well as our common bell peppers. Based on many lines of evidence, peppers were likely domesticated in eastern Mexico. These lines of evidence will be discussed in this episode. The first line of evidence to showcase this would be the genetic evidence. During the fall of 2006 and 2007, expeditions were done to sample wild populations of chili pepper in the United States and Mexico, as well as various landrace populations of chili pepper. The genetic data was based off of 139 wild populations and 49 domesticated populations. And through genetic comparison, it is likely that northeastern Mexico is the center of origin for chili peppers. The next type of evidence is the archaeological evidence. The oldest known sites for our common pepper would be in the Guila Naquis cave and Sylvia's caves, both of which are found in eastern Mexico. This is dated between 1400 BP and 500 BP. The third line of evidence is the ecological evidence, which shows that the wild chili pepper, which is the ancestor to our common bell and chili peppers, grows and thrives in northeastern Mexico and are spread by fruit-eating birds. The final line of evidence is that the oldest Mexican languages have a word for chili. Long years after the domestication of chili peppers, a descendant of Gregor Mendel, Gregor Karelen, bred the first sweet peppers in 1908, and the rest, as we say, is history. The origins of lettuce seems to be a well-debated topic in the sciences of crop origin. The first proposed origin point of lettuce was actually Egypt, around 2500 BC, based on lettuce being portrayed on the walls of some Egyptian tombs. Vavilov later proposed an origin point of the Mediterranean area, specifically Iran or Iraq. Based on current evidence, it was likely that lettuce was domesticated somewhere between Egypt and Iran, based on the high number of wild relatives to lettuce in that area. So it's likely that lettuce spread from that area to Egypt, where it made an appearance around 2500 BC, where it was associated with fertility, and even today, certain Egyptian populations believe that if you eat enough lettuce, you'll become extremely fertile. From Egypt, lettuce spread to Rome and Greece. The ancient Greeks considered lettuce to be an aphrodisiac, as well as a means to improve digestion. It was in Greece that the first new strain of lettuce was formed, called the stalk lettuce. In China, lettuce was introduced between 600 and 900 AD, and a new stalk lettuce was bred that was popular in China but never took off in Europe. The first example of lettuce found in Europe was found in a book on herbal medicine called Chauffour, written by Ortis Senectatis. It's in the mid-1500s, however, that the first evidence of cabbage lettuce was depicted. Another lettuce called the butterhead lettuce was also depicted later on in the 1600s, both of which were depicted in herbal medicine books. The oldest cultivars of lettuce we have right now are French cultivars from 1755 and 1771. Lettuce was then introduced to North America by the first colonists. The common crisp head lettuce is popular in North America were likely bred from French varieties of lettuce. As for the history of lettuce, in a greenhouse setting, the first known mention of this practice of growing lettuce in greenhouse was with Dr. W. F. Grecki of the University of California in the 1930s, where he used hydroponics to grow many vegetables, including lettuce. Unfortunately, I do not know how to transition into production greenhouses because I could not find that information. In terms of greenhouse pepper production, however, we have a more complete origin story for greenhouse peppers in Ontario. The first known greenhouse pepper production facilities were made in the 1980s in the Niagara area, and have since then grown to 60 acres in Leamington and 90 acres in total in Ontario when it comes to greenhouse. This concludes our video on lettuce and peppers. Stay tuned for our video on tomatoes. See you then.